o'clock. It's okay when the sun's setting at 4 o'clock. 1, 2, 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to Best Eat Street, St George, this historic site playing host to one of the state's most successful clubs for the first time in 20 years. It's St George FC versus Blacktown City in the NPL New South Wales. 1, 2, 1, 2. Cool. Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to Bestich Street, St George and Barton Park, this historic site playing host to one of the state's most successful clubs for the first time in 20 years. It's St George FC versus Blacktown City in the NPL New South Wales men's. This round 25 fixture falling at a funny old time in the season for both its combatants. Blacktown still with slim but fading hope of a top 4 finish, and 7 points from being dragged out of the finals places with 6 games to play. For St George, the season's bright start has flitted somewhat towards the back end, but they could still better last season's 12th place finish. Helpful would be a first win in 6 games this afternoon and a first point since late June, with August fast approaching. Alex Molchanoff delighted to be along with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Let's have a look at how the two teams line up this afternoon. For St George, 3 changes from their loss up at Plume Park against the Central Coast Mariners a week ago. In come Jaden Sito, Chanyel Chan and Aidan O'Shea to Fabian Michelli starting 11. Mackenzie Seron will start in goal. Nicholas Calagero at right back with Sito partnering Smith in the centre of defence. Troy Danaskos, the captain, at left back. The two midfielders, Caden Wright and Evan Suris, with Chanyel Chan and Aidan O'Shea, the two incoming players flanking them. Jaden Casella and Bayantoniu, always a goal threat up front. For Blacktown City, 2 changes, both enforced for Mark Crittenden, with Grant Lynch away on futsal Roo duty and Maxime Yej suspended after picking up his 5th yellow card last weekend. That sees Jacob Mediti come into midfield and Jackson Bandiera join a new look back 5. Caden Henderson in goal, Ben Berry, Nick O'Brien alongside Bandiera with Campbell and Kresnar on the flanks. Maniti, Berry and Fernandez the midfield 3 with Malia and Major up front. 90 minutes of fun to come on this Sunday afternoon. Wind has settled a little. Pretty perfect footballing conditions for us at Barton Park. A historic day in some sense for Blacktown City as Lockie Campbell tries to steal 5 or 10 yards there from the throw-in. Kelly Jones, our very experienced official, right on the spot. It's a place Blacktown visited so many times in the late 90s, early 2000s. A successful period for the club. An early little play to hold out there. The physical presence of Chanyel Chan in the starting lineup today. A little bit too physical with Nick O'Brien on that occasion. What a big afternoon of NPL New South Wales men's football across Sydney. Town Rangers and Harpy getting their game back underway after they got through just 17 minutes of that game last night. Nick O'Brien is back in to carry out his defensive work against Yelchan. Still a chance for St George to start brightly, as they've done so many times this season. In the front end, that has been the problem for them. Suris has been a recent trialist down with Melbourne Victory. Travis Major with his first touch of the ball this afternoon. Blacktown City's all-time leading goal scorer. Antonio flitted back out to the right-hand side with Yel Chan back in the starting lineup. It adds a fair bit of pace to St George's front line. Something Blacktown have been trying to get better at defending across the course of the season. Those with pace down the wings and happy to go direct have found a little too much success on the goal scoring front for Mark Crittenden and Matty Bingley's liking. Absorbing a fair bit of early pressure here as Antonio goes on to take the ball inside the box. The Blacktown players in his way. Danaskos keeps the attack alive. Casella. Very good start from the hosts in the very, very early stages. Casella getting to the byline, and eventually the ball cleared by Nick O'Brien. Those noises you can hear in the effects, like the celebration of the St George FC 20s. won by a stunning scoreline of 6-0 in the game preceding this one. Hoping their first grade team can give them similar success to cheer about. Think about it in the right way. 7 in the intro. It's a funny little period for Blacktown City now. It's going to be difficult for anybody to reel them in the finals race. Would take a slip up of some proportions from here. That are just so good at picking up results wherever they go. Expect them to be bedded safely into the finals places. They'd like to catch one of the top 4 to give themselves a home elimination final in the first lot of fixtures. Managed to make it all the way to the preliminary final with a 4th place finish a year ago. Off St George City. The midweek fixtures and fell to Marconi in quite stunning circumstances in the grand final qualifier. Into the showpiece fixture since they won it back in 2022, only 3 years ago. For St George FC, it's popping up their personal best after their return to the competition in 2024, a 12th place finish, more than enough to secure their place. They've done more work early this time around. Never really looked like being reeled into the relegation battle down the bottom. Would like to just move a little bit further into mid-table over these closing 6 rounds. Not a mathematical impossibility that they could get themselves into finals, but a number of teams between they and Sydney Olympic sitting in that final playoff position as we come into this Sunday afternoon fixture. Don't let that affect them in the early stages. The ball being played up to Bay Antonio. That neat, intricate play we've seen around the edge of the penalty area. They've got to be careful in transition themselves. Marty Fernandez has found some form over the last few weeks. Couldn't continue his run there. Quite stunning goal against Manly United. Wasn't enough to get them the win at Cromer Park, but bounced back well last week. 2 goals in the first half meant they were sitting fairly comfortably against Sutherland, although give up some chances early in the second half there. Auckland Fields' red card meant they were able to see out the game against 10 men. They've not been beaten since, in league football anyway, since their last visit here 20 years ago. In a split competition over the summer of 2004-2005. Quite remarkably, they defeated by 9 goals to 3. The young Adam Kwasnik scoring a hat-trick that day, as Ciron just made a bit of a mess of that. Shrug of the shoulders and a hand of apology from the St George FC gloveman. Coaching St George FC that day, Manny Spanadakis. In charge of St George City, just a 5 or 10 minute drive down the road. 20 years on. Blacktown have just steadied after that start in which they were taking on a fair bit of pressure. Jacob Kresna, who's won out in the battle for the left-wing back spot over the last few weeks. So Jackson Bandiera coming in today to play just to his right in the absence of Grant Lynch. Long-time futsalroo is off for some more Asian championships. Played in the five-a-side version of the game. Mark Crittenden not one to change a winning lineup unless forced to, and that has been the case today. Travis Major just taking up an offside position. He's got the right side of Rocco Smith for just a moment there. Mid-season transfer from the Central Coast Mariners Academy. Started the season. Just got to be very careful on this pitch that's looking a little threadbare again this afternoon, that don't play themselves into trouble out from the back, St George FC. Other concurrent fixtures today: Central Coast Mariners hosting Sydney FC in a battle of the academy sides up at Plume Park, and Blacktown Illenden taking on Sydney United 58. Not far from here either, at the Illenden Sports Centre. Replay of the other of last season's preliminary finals. And at the conclusion of this game, we've got a whole slate of women's games coming up for you. The NPL New South Wales female side of things. You've not had your football fix, there's plenty of good action to take in there as well. Daniel Chan, who is so prominent in the first 5 minutes or so, is trying to bust his way through the Blacktown defence there. Nick O'Brien launching it clear. It's been the winter of Mitch Malia, who put himself in an awkward position under Jaden Sito, wins the free kick. Smith finding himself on the ball again here. Caden Wright. Evan Souris. It's football from St George. There's never been any question about the prettiness of their attacking play, and they've built another nice attack here. Antonio, that's been the combination. Casella and Antonio, that has done so much damage for St George FC this season. First time they link up, and it's a first test for Caden Henderson, and that he saw off without too much issue in Blacktown City's goal. Major trying to get things going down the other end. Moved about again by Mark Crittenden across a number of positions this season. Happy to take on a role wherever he's required. So he's in his preferred position this afternoon. It's the centre point of the attack. So his old partner in crime, Mitch Malia. Talked about Mitch Malia's renaissance of sorts. Particularly retired a couple of years ago. Had a stunning comeback to the top level of New South Wales football. Blacktown have been happy to have him. Top goal scorer across the season with 10. Sitting in second with 8. Jack O'Brien unfortunately out with a long-term injury. Him with a cast on his foot today. Suggested it'll be some sort of stretch for him to be back in time for finals football, but if there's a player you wouldn't put it past, be their leading goal scorer of the last couple of seasons. Speaking of goal-scoring heroes, Jordan Askus has been out of sorts over the course of the year for St George FC. It's his 6th of the year. To open the scoring last weekend against the Central Coast Mariners. Remarkable return playing at left full back, but he's somewhat of a name for himself doing that sort of thing in this competition since St George FC's promotion. Going down St George felt rather softly. It's well positioned there. One of a number who've spent time out with injury this season for Blacktown. Had a slate of them run through the side, their position on the table. It's been a fight against that as much as their opposition week on week. They're starting to resemble more of a full-strength sides as we come towards those crucial August and September months. Maniti for Kresna. Trying to link up with Major. Calageru was alive to the danger and getting himself in a bit of a wrestling match with Blacktown City's left wing back, who concedes the free kick. Yelchan. Fresno again getting back there, and he's not exactly feeling he's getting the rub of the green at the minute. Antonio jumping in deep to try and start play, and Yelchan has wriggled his way free of the attention of Jackson Bandiera. He's able to recover. The ball took St George's number 9 wide. His delivery only picks out Ben Berry. Recycled by Caden Wright. Sella lets it run for Danaskos and then overlaps and tries to give the attack a little bit more thrust. He managed to stay on side as well. Berry was in there to interfere. This piece of defensive work was more than fair. Danaskos, the voice you can hear in our effects mic on the near side. Wearing the captain's armband and calling on his keeper just to calm things a little. So the hosts have played with the majority of the possession in the opening quarter of an hour. We're just shy of that. Danaskos. Casella dragging Ben Berry into midfield. Casella might look the long option, thought better of it. George have had 5 attempts at beating Blacktown City over the past 20 years in league football, not managed to do it, although they did get a 0-0 draw in the corresponding fixture a year ago. That was played early in the season, round 2, after a first-up loss to Manly United. Their first season back in this competition since 2014. As we mentioned, that game played at the Illingdon Sports Centre. Park being opened officially a few months later. St George making the move permanent to this ground for the start of the 2025 season. Terrific little facility. History has been just littered around the ground a little. We're sitting in the Frank Arrock stand, and long-time coach. On to take the national team job as well. And Nick O'Brien has talked himself into a booking, I think. Could be the only explanation. He was nowhere near where play was being carried out. One of the more bizarre first bookings of an afternoon, you'll see. Well, he doesn't mind a chat, Nick O'Brien, but usually fairly measured with the way he delivers his message to referees. Not so on this occasion, in the opinion of Kelly Jones. Had enough of the chatter. In the first moment of real note in this game, a lot of prodding and probing, but much cutting edge at this stage. Marty Fernandez is trying to change that. Beautiful ball for Kresna. Took an air swing, still sat for him, and Major might be able to get something useful into the box. Well cleared by the retreating Rocco Smith. Kresna has really got the bit between his teeth. Been as involved emotionally in the game as any of the other 21 players out there. Bandiera. A bit of a blind pass. 7 done. Marty Fernandez not willing to give it up just yet. Berry's touch is affected by the onrushing Yelchan. Didn't get a touch himself. Left a bit of a mark on Blacktown City's midfielder by the looks of things. Yelchan trying to spin away from Bandiera. He had a hold of him. That's Greenshields is the experienced assistants on the far side. This flag bringing the infringement to the attention of the referee. And St George finds some cutting edge. They've played themselves into trouble more than once in positions like that. And now it's got Marty Fernandez with the ball at his feet, which is just where he'd want it. Major for Maniti. And a sloppy touch by Fernandez, of all people, to turn it back over. Calagiero is stretching for it. This game's growing in its intensity as we tick towards 20 minutes. And Krasnar's cross is put out to play by Rocco Smith, whose turnover got that little passage started. The little crowd that have gathered in the Arox stands on a pretty fine Sunday afternoon. Yet to find full voice on either side. As always, there's a healthy contingent of Blacktown City supporters who've made the journey to the east. Been having the best period of the match so far, and there's a chance for Malia to try and bring the ball inside. All shut down by Jaden Sito. Finds himself back in the starting lineup today. Manny DiPizio came to the club as a midfielder in the mid-season transfer window from Sydney Olympic. He's dropping back to the bench. Just a bit of versatility for Fabian Michelli to call on should he be required. Speaking of versatile players, there's Nick O'Brien stepping into midfield, but turnover. So he's searching for Fernandez. Calagiero. Casella running hard for it, and he's drawn Henderson out of his net, at least initially. Touch took him wide. Tony close in support, as he always seems to be. Calagiero happy to settle for an attacking throw. Came off Rocco Smith's arm. I don't think there's any doubt about that, but certainly no argument it was in an unnatural position. Blacktown have taken the ball back in any case. Bandiera. Looking for some movement. This is a big game in the context of being able to better their performance from last season for St George FC. Come into this game without a point in 4, without a win in 6. Some bright performances. It should be said that point was picked up against the once favourites for the Premiership, Marconi, who had their colours blown at home last night in quite emphatic fashion by Spirit FC, who've taken top spot on the ladder off them. 3-point leads as we sit here this afternoon. Two terrific performances from side only promoted back in 2023. Under David Perkovic. You were tipping them to be around finals football this season. If everything went right, they have blown those expectations out of the water. Beaten last season's 2 silverware winners in league football, 2 that were expected to contest for the Premiership, by putting 11 goals past them over the past 2 weeks. Turnover from Souris in a bad area. Can't say that Major ever looked like it corralling that one into a shot on target. A little rushed. The Blacktown City skipper, who has a shake of the head for himself. Blacktown building pressure though. Talked a lot of pressure in their defensive half in the opening 5 or 10 minutes. They've been able to generate a little bit more in an attacking sense since then, but still without a clear-cut chance for either side. So a quarter of the game has now ticked by. As for Blacktown, there certainly must be a feeling amongst the club they'd love to hit fast forward to the final series now. Mentioned in pre-game. It's going to be very difficult for them to catch any of Reptile Apia or Marconi. Rockdale closest to them, a 7-point gap coming into the afternoon. Rockdale in action as well. It's Sydney United 58. This concurrent game. Game still sitting at 0-0, about 24 minutes in there as well. And the goal that's been scored in the 3 fixtures that were due to kick off at this time is up at Bloom Park, with Sydney FC hold a 1-0 lead against the Central Coast Mariners. Tony flipping that one over the top. Maniti there to cut its progression any further. Will Chan, he'll fight and scrap for everything. Nick O'Brien is doing a pretty good job of marshalling him to this point. Fernandez sends the ball to Kresna, who slipped away from Calogero this time, and fed Malia, who didn't time his run. Flagged offside by the assistant on the near side, Matt Harris. I've got a feeling this game is not quite having got out of first gear yet. Siron losing the ball between his feet for a moment there, and then playing it well over Danaskos' head, much to his captain's frustration. Trying to insert some intensity, taking that throw quickly for Maniti. Filipino international. It's another of the Blacktown City contingent who've spent quite a bit of time out with injury this season, as Malia goes down under the challenge, and Kelly Jones points straight to the spot. Calogero will argue his case, but he let Malia wriggle the wrong side of him. And as soon as Blacktown's experienced marksman went to ground, the referee had no hesitation. Unfortunate moment for the St George right back. But now Mackenzie Siron will be the last line of defence. The unenviable task of facing up against Travis Major from the penalty spot. Blacktown City growing into the game and now getting their best opportunity of it to this moment. Malia wins the penalty. Can Major convert? It's he versus Siron. And Major thumps it in. Sends the keeper the wrong way. And Blacktown, for their response after a slow start, deserved that opener. Well worked down the left. Kresna playing a hand. And Malia's smarts, as much as his quickness of foot, brought the challenge from Calogero, and Malia made no mistake. That's another to that all-time leading tally at the top of Blacktown City's goal-scoring charts. He scored few simpler. They all count the same, and Blacktown City happy to hold the lead for a second consecutive week away from home. Not the most memorable of Major's strikes, that's for sure, but just gave Siron the eyes and tucked the ball safely in the opposite corner. St George responds straight away. Maniti's touch has given them that opportunity. Casella facing up to Campbell now. He's got around him with the 1-2. Good piece of sweeping up from Nick O'Brien. Seems to look a little more comfortable sweeping up between the Ben Berry and Jackson Bandiera in these early stages. Fairly well equipped to handle anything St George have thrown at them. shy of the first half hour. Chan with a big shout for a penalty kick. I'm not quite sure what for, and then the foul goes against Damascus. Marty Fernandez tried to spring clear. Frustrations growing for the hosts in the early stages, and the spectators to the Frank Carrick stand less than impressed with what they're seeing from their sides and the referee at the moment. Very climbing a couple of St George players, but fell for their skipper in any case. Put out by Ben Berry. Have to win his spot back in this side. He's been out of it for a lot of the season. Dragged down by Casella. Blacktown are starting to find their flow a little. The fact that St George are keen to not let them find that. Hayden Wright was sure that ball had passed out to play. Probably the hosts have got a decision to go their way. Both coaches at the edge of their technical areas, as you can see there. Up and about as we approach the half hour. And Casella might have his best opportunity of the game so far. Tries to deliver. Wasn't too far from Yelchan, but Nick O'Brien was comfortable letting it pass across the face of Henderson's net. Taking that goal, along with a couple of decisions, seems to have just re-energised St George slightly. Cito. Looked a little ponderous in these positions so far today, St George. Those direct balls have not been finding their targets often enough. Pressure from Blacktown's backline has been marked, allowing St George to turn with the ball quickly and fire those balls in behind their defence. Forcing them to try and go around. St George have struggled with to this point. I've got 15 minutes before half-time to try and make it a more fruitful route to goal. Lagero's fortunate moment is most important of the first half so far. Smith stepping out of his defensive position to play it forward to Damascus. Caden Wright for Calagero. This is better from St George FC. As good as we've seen them since the opening 5 minutes, really. Casella. Cyrus and Damascus. Little chance puts it out to the left to win the throw. Damascus. I'm looking for one of those arrow straight balls into either Casella or Yelchan. Call from Nick O'Brien that St George retreating attackers were offside was correct. And they look to go quickly with Marley. Hasn't got too many numbers up there. I'm not sure what he thought he spotted on the far side. There wasn't anyone wearing black. Smith. Interesting little runs home for both these two teams. Blacktown have got that big derby against Druittstown Rangers next weekend at Landed Stadium. They were pushed all the way by them. That game at Poppenbetter Park earlier in the year. Managed to run out 3-2 winners. And out Druitt's better performances over the first half of the season that had more toil than reward. As for St George, Gives it to a side they'll feel they can push all the way in Sydney United 58. Not been on the greatest run of form themselves without a win in 5 heading into their game against Rockdale London this afternoon. We'll bring the updates from that one. It's still sitting 0-0 there as well. 10 minutes from half-time. Alex Mortonoff with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel this afternoon. Reminder as well to find us X, Facebook and Instagram. Just search at NPL NSW. NPL New South Wales on Facebook. You'll be able to find reports on all the games across the weekend from the men's competition. Highlights and previews of the last month of the season that will be into the conclusion of the fixtures today. Busy August for every team. Leading up to 8 games being played concurrently on the final day. George will be hosting Manly here that day. Blacktown City at home against the Wollongong Wolves. Calageru trying to make amends for his earlier error. Wide for Antonio. It's a first quarter of the afternoon for St George FC. It's taken 35 minutes to come. And a chance for them to build something through the set piece. It's not been their most fruitful route to goal this season. Town City have had their questions asked of them in this area of the field across the year, though. What the delivery of Jaden Casella can provide. There's plenty of tall timber forward with Chan and Rocco Smith. It's Chan who got there. Not sure whether his was the final touch. It might have been the Blacktown City players, but the home side don't care. Neither their fans, who find their voice for the first time this afternoon. 1-1. Been a good response since going behind, and Major's penalty is answered. Good delivery from Casella that put the Blacktown City defence under pressure. They've got their just rewards for a good response in the 10 minutes since going behind. Just caught nothing slightly. Again, the defence has been a big worry for them this season. They've had no problem finding the back of the net, but of course defensively has not been as sturdy as it has the past 3 or 4 seasons. And then swinging cross this time is he's brought them undone. Smith, a lovely turn through the pressure of Malia. Going into this game, former Mariners Academy man. Casella's switch of play just with a little too much on it for Bay Antonio. Maniti. Prize for a free kick from some of the St George FC 20s who've gathered alongside their bench. And Fabian Michelli and his substitutes. Bosnar reading the bounce of the ball. The free kick was awarded for the arm being stuck out to try and reel it in once he'd missed the touch with his midriff. Right for Calageru. George took a 1-2 punch in double quick time. They might well do. Antonio stealing in and brought down by O'Brien's challenge. He didn't bother appealing. What a response from the Saints. The turnaround since the goal has been so stark. Right into their attacking flow, and Antonio Just nicking the ball off Bandiera, engaging Nick O'Brien. And just like Malia did about 10 minutes ago, winning inside the penalty kick. And of course it's Troy Donascos. 6 goals this campaign for St George FC's skipper. Another fine return coming his way. And Caden Henderson plays spoiler here. He can't. He goes straight down the middle. He's been the voice of leadership. He's been the man to get a goal when they've needed it this year. And he makes no mistake from the spot. St George's slow start has been turned around before half-time. Blacktown City caught with a 1-2 combination. First from the set piece and then from the penalty spot. And Mackenzie Cedron, who was seeing a lot of the ball in the early stages, has barely had it in his box for the last 10 minutes. His team have taken full advantage. Just checked Casella off the ball. Yelchan's got there ahead of him anyway, and he could have made it 3. But he just lifted that a little higher for Antonio. This is St George FC of early season. Players flooding forward in numbers. The ball moves swiftly between them. A joy to watch when they're in their best form. They've just captured here in the last 10 minutes. Soros over to take the corner. In fact, it was Aidan O'Shea. It wasn't his best effort. Now it comes to Evan Souris. O'Shea. Nick O'Brien. I said he looked so comfortable defensively. Just took that one moment. The turnover from Bandiera. Had to go into the challenge, and Antonio was just too fleet of foot. Defender's lazy leg. Jones has seen a penalty for each side. So again, it started slowly. And towards the end of the first half, it's been quite some watch. At the top of the broadcast, Blacktown City are looking fairly safe. They can't afford to just let games roll by, though. Very quickly, they'll be under pressure in the final month. It's the last thing they need. Exposing players to football who prefer recovery. It's such a funny situation to be in when you know the result of your season, whether it's seen as a success or failure, it's very much going to come down to one game in more than a month's time now. Lots to their character as a footballing side as to their answer to the question of whether they can bounce back here. Intent not to let St George play out, flooding players forward, and Adam Berry managing to stick in a boot. Eventually Cito scrapped it clear. Berry still made something of it. Good work from their midfield maestro. Campbell turned it over. Runs at Ben Berry as he nodded that ball forward towards Adam. It's just fallen awkwardly on his hand or wrist. Keep an eye on that. Coach's giving instructions. I'm not sure that's the ball that Mark Crittenden wanted to see there. Well, over the head of Travis Major, was screaming for it. Much deeper position. Another sloppy piece of distribution from Mackenzie Cedron. It's not had his finest afternoon in terms of that, which I know is awkward for even outfield players, but we've seen plenty of it this season. This is where Chan Yol-chan wants the ball, running at the opposition defence. Again, Casella and Campbell coming together off the ball. And it's Fernandez having to show his strength. He did well to brush off the attention of Rocco Smith that time. Major, see the ball bobbling as it approached him, and Barry's having to try something inventive to get Blacktown out of danger. Fell for them eventually. Krasnar switch for Fernandez. Even his touch is just betraying him at the critical moment. So George filling voids. In fact, they're winning the ball back so consistently, or easily, must be said. Can't quite say it for Daniel Chan there. Bundled over Krasnar. Adam Berry. Oh, clean nutmeg from Mitch Malia, and Adam Berry's taken up the attack. He returns it to Malia. Oh, that would have been something spectacular. Whisker away from dropping under Siron's crossbar. That's the Malia moment we're so used to seeing. Won the penalty, and then got the better of Danaskos. Two experienced heads. Both have had roller coaster rides of a first half. It's been an interesting enough watch for the neutral, this one. Not quite sure which way the wind will blow next. Someone getting a rather better purchase on that goal kick. Jackson Tippett is our fourth official today. He's getting that big board ready. That'll tell us how much time to be added on at the end of the first half. Hasn't been too many stoppages. Only really for the goals. Again, Yol-chan is backing into Ben Berry. Fernandez down for Adam. And again, Malia spinning into an aerial challenge with Sito, and Kelly Jones is quite right in making the point. Well, he doesn't have his eye on the ball. He's going to be putting his opposition defender in a dangerous position more often than not. Saw that already once. It's the case a second time. It brings a second booking for Blacktown City. Molly is continuing to argue his case. I'm not sure he's got too much of one, to be honest. Joins Nick O'Brien. It's the only two players booked in the first half. Siron, who's not been sure of touch. Again, getting this one away gamefully enough, but it's fallen to Lockie Campbell, and now Malia can run at a retreating defence. It takes a deflection. Well gathered by the Saints gloveman, who took a couple of dramatic rolls on the turf. I was just wondering if he'd felt a jolt of pain. Doesn't appear to be the case. Chan, he's so strong when he just pins his defender like that. Almost impossible to get through him. Bandiera eventually managed it. Well, it didn't look like it was going this way for the opening half hour, but St George have somehow found themselves with a lead before the break. Jackson Bandiera just leaving a little bit on Yol-chan. There was no free kick seen there, but St George's number 9 has copped a whack, and Kelly Jones decides rather than stopping play to let him receive treatment, let's just blow half time. Well, it was a slow burn, the opening quarter of this game, but boy, did it burst into life in the back end of the first half. Mitch Malia getting his body in front of Nick Calagero to win Blacktown City, a penalty which Travis Major converted to give the visitors the lead, but St George came with some response. All curled in by Jaden Casella. Confirm the goal scorer on that one. I feel it might be an own goal when all is said and done before Troy Danascus converted from the penalty spot. So St George FC have come from a goal down before half-time. 45 minutes of action to come from Barton Park. Stick around, it should be fairly entertaining. At half-time here, it's St George FC 2, Blacktown City 1. Welcome back to Barton Park. The second half about to get underway between Blacktown City and their host St George, who took a 2-1 lead to the break after trailing early to a Travis Major penalty. They equalised from a corner before Trey Danaskos struck his 7th goal of the season from the penalty spot himself. Those 2 penalty kicks, the defining story of the first half. Let's see who can make the second their storyline to right. We are back underway. Blacktown kicking from right to left in their all-black strip. St George in their red and white with the green socks. Start to this game slowly. After flying out of the blocks, Blacktown managed to turn the tide before the hosts took the impetus back off them. Managed to slide into the break with the lead. Haven't won in 6 coming into this game. The Saints looking to right that ship. Deal a bit of a blow to Blacktown City, chasing finals football still. Looking pretty secure in their place in the top 6, but they just don't want to let the season get away from them in the back end. As we head towards our September playoff series for the championship. A game that has risen minute by minute in intensity. Slight sleepwalking out of the blocks from both teams, particularly Blacktown. They really did turn it on and let the lead slip. Those up and downs have been so frustrating for Mark Crittenden across the course of the season. And they've showed consistently that they're able to compete with the biggest clubs in the land, but dropping more points than they would like to those below them across the course of 2025. So Chan Yel Chan has been noted as the goal scorer for St George City's opener. I'll be very surprised if that's not changed to read Lachlan Campbell before the end of the 90 minutes. And back at that replay at half-time, fairly clear that it came in off Blacktown City's right wing back from Casella's swerving cross. He might have a chance to get forward himself here though, Campbell. Scott taking that one off his toe, and now Casella might be able to stretch and keep this one in play and get his side away in transition. Chan straight into the channel. Nick O'Brien was at fault for fouling by Antonio. The concession of the penalty kick. Towards the back end of the second half. Here the ice cream van tickling through your effects mic. St George happy to build through consecutive throws to start the second half. They started very much the brighter in the first. Blacktown absorbed that initial pressure. They do so again here. A combination of Fernandez and Ben Berry taking that ball off Yel Chan. No substitutions from either coach at half-time. Does choose to go there today. Fabian Michelli's got quite the selection. Justin Poon really impressed with his form, the 19-year-old across this season. Nicholas Skataric there as well, the mid-season signing. Jesper Weber, another one of those from Blacktown City. And Gianni Di Pizio, as well as would be debutant today, George Katsourakis. For Blacktown City and Mark Crittenden, if they go down that route. Keanu Moore is there, as is Sebastian Hayward. Ruben Oro-Atife, turned into the club in mid-season from Sutherland. Daniel McHugh is their under-20s captain at the moment. One of 2 or 3 games in the starting side earlier in the season. Yel Chan just straying before that ball was played through to him by Antonio. Somebody gets to set over Barton Park. venue, or just away to our left as we're sitting here in the new Frank Arrock stand. It's hosted so many big games in New South Wales State League football down the years, but also in the old NSL. It's the home to St George FC most consistently, but to others like Sydney Olympic down the years as well. Major losing his feet under the challenge, and Maniti getting a good fistful of Antoniu's shirt. He's asking for further retribution. Wasn't forthcoming. Blacktown City with 2 bookings in the first half to Nick O'Brien and Mitch Malia. George FC yet to have a player with their name taken by our referee Kelly Jones. My name is Alex Molchanoff, joining you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel for this round 25 clash this afternoon. It's turned into a beautiful day in Sydney South. Windy morning that has given way to a very still afternoon. Kelly Jones initially pointing St George FC's way for the free kick, but very quickly correcting her mistake. Adam Berry is going to look for a few to be thrown forward. In fact, he's going to take the pass from Brother Ben, get things going that way. No doubt the surface has played some part in the action today. Been difficult for teams to build up from the back consistently. Both teams, to their credit, have tried to play through it. Has invited the press of both sides across the afternoon's action. Rocco Smith with a commanding win at the back over the head of Mitch Malia. Souris's ball without real intended target. Trickles behind for a Blacktown City goal kick. Around the grounds at the moment as well. 2 games being played, or 3 games actually being played concurrently. The 2 that were due to kick off this afternoon. Sydney FC leading the Central Coast Mariners by 2-0. Lockdale Illington and Sydney United still sitting locked at 0-0. A restarted game between Mount Druitt and RPL Leichhardt after the lights went out at Popondetta Park yesterday evening. RPL leading that game by 2-0 with just under 20 minutes to play. Blacktown up for a big derby against Mount Druitt Town Rangers, and we mentioned in the first half next weekend. Like to come into that game in winning form, just as they did at the start of the first half, having to absorb a fair bit of pressure. It's Ben Berry back in the starting lineup again today. Lachlan Campbell holding home the own goal in the first half. Souris with a poor turnover. It's allowed Major a path forward. It was blocked off very quickly by Smith. It's probably been the pick of St George's defenders, but he's not helped out by Kalajeru's turnover. And Kresnar can deliver the cross. Again, Smith is in the way. And this time it's a Blacktown City corner. Having a fair afternoon of it. Rocco Smith, he's been the pillar on which St George's defence has sat. It's going to be the first change of the afternoon. Sebastian Hayward coming into the centre of midfield, replacing Jacob Maniti. Suddenly returned from injury over the last month or so. Just over 50 minutes enough for him. With the sun dipping down into the eyes of the St George FC defence, they're going to have their wits about them here as Berry thumps it in deep over Ben's head. Cleared away by Aidan O'Shea, and they'll do it all again from the far side. Ball disappears out onto the basketball area, way to the left. Here at the new Barton Park. Mitch Marley is standing over this corner. Cito with a good piece of defensive work. Fernandez trying to take it up. Kresnar almost taking it off him. Cito's clearance deflecting back off Kresnar and behind for a goal kick. Troy Danascus giving his team a rev up as they get out of their own penalty area. But his longest run in the first team this year, Sebastian Hayward, stood his name over the tannoy. Been asked to play a few different positions, was deployed as a right wing back against Manly United a couple of weeks ago. And they're not able to keep that one in play. Cito for Casella. Danascus and O'Shea. See the fluency of St George's attack when it does get in its stride. Building through midfield. Wide for Calageru. Casella. Soros knocking it back for Rocco Smith. St George FC have been fairly comfortable in their lead with the exception of these turnovers coming out from the back that have been far too consistent. Smith with a commanding win on the ground this time. Kresnar just lopping it over the top. Siron was not always sure with his feet in the first half. Seems to be a little less bobbly in that penalty area. The one he was defending in the first half. Campbell marshalling Yelchan out of play before he could get a strong enough touch on the football to keep it in. He's managed to win it back with the help of Wright. Now the throw-in goes St George's way. All odds has failed today for St George FC. They've just been happy to work it down the flanks, and Town City have struggled to really get controlled possession in those areas of the field. Of course, as I say that, Damascus plays it straight forward to Nick O'Brien, who stepped into midfield at the start of this second half. Mark Crittenden chasing a result here this afternoon. Happy enough to add an extra body, and is giving them more control in this second half. Kresnar at Calageru. Took a swing and a miss. Stood it up to the top of the box. Just evaded Hayward. Up rather than out from Yelchan. And Nick O'Brien leaving it short for Campbell, and Yelchan just bursting through the attention of a couple of Blacktown City players. You heard the groan there, because if it had made its way past Bandiera, Yelchan was in behind without anybody really chasing it. Very slipping as he played that ball. It's brother Adam who gets Blacktown going forward. More space for them. Continuing to appear through the middle of the park, and Hayward, who had the ball at his feet, wanted to keep going with it. Kelly Jones blowing the whistle, and so has to pull up play. This time the short option been taken out of the equation by Adam Berry. He's just going to try and measure this one into the St George area, and Campbell is there! This time it's netted in Blacktown's column. It's not at home twice. Once for each team down that end of the pitch. Lockie Campbell has got such a knack for getting on the end of set pieces. Beautifully delivered from Adam Berry. And Blacktown have their equaliser with half an hour to play. Crittenden's pulled the right rein again. His team playing more fluid football at the start of the second half, and they get the reward from a set piece. Barry holding up Caden Wright and conceding the free kick. So St George had to answer the Copping Majors strike on the half hour. How will they respond to Campbell's equaliser after the second third of this game? Imagine these teams, both ones that have not been as sturdy defensively. Some of their counterparts up and down the competition. St George's last clean sheet coming back in their last victory against Mount Druitt. All the way back at the start of June. Since then, they've been conceding goals for fun. It's been the case again here this afternoon. So Blacktown have never really felt out of the football game, and they're striding forward with confidence through Malia. He's facing up to Sito. Hangs it up towards Fernandez. Calagiero got the telling touch. Nick O'Brien is happy to fire it out of danger across the middle of the field. That's the catalyst for Fabian Michelli to go to his bench. End of the afternoon for Aidan O'Shea. Looking for a little bit more sturdiness as Calagiero is pinged for a foul throw. Not something you see too often at this level, but he got the back foot up. Gianni Di Pizzio is the first man brought off the bench. Started at centre back last weekend, but brought into midfield with his side chasing a goal and the result here. There was an argument that might have been a foul throw as well from Kresnar. Throwing it straight into the turf, but it's ended up in a Blacktown City corner. Fresh off scoring a set piece through Lockie Campbell. Can they do it again? Twice in 5 minutes. Berry to deliver. Got one assist. It's over everybody by some distance. Malia waiting out the back, almost anticipating that ball. Sticking in with his right foot. Major stretching for it. Yona again, Yelchan rather, back there doing the defending and then blazed over the top by the Blacktown City skipper. An afternoon where momentum has changed like the wind. Both teams have had periods on top. Both have sat in and absorbed a fair bit of pressure and then been undone when they looked at their sturdiest. Been a funny old game. As football so often is. Never quite know what you're going to get when you turn up one of these New South Wales grounds on a Sunday afternoon. Calagiero. Pizzio's first touch is too much of a stretch to reel in. Both teams will be looking, I think, to go forward as much for safety as for any sort of attacking impetus. Become a game of territory very quickly. Just to emphasise that point, Danaskos was just happy to clear the ball away. Casella can't keep it in. If you just joined us, it was 2-1 at the break. St George struck first. Or rather, Blacktown City struck first through Travis Major from the penalty spot before St George answered with 2 goals in 10 minutes. First an own goal from Lachlan Campbell before Troy Danaskos gave them the lead with a strike from the penalty spot himself. And Campbell, very much the villain for Blacktown in the first half, was to turn hero with a headed finish. Yel Chan with his arms up. Thought he was away. Dreams of a free run to Caden Henderson's goal. Very quickly removed by Kelly Jones's whistle. And this is a very similar position to where Berry just curled one in for Campbell's equaliser. Can he do it again? This one with a bit more height, holding up in the wind. She's now sweeping from the near side to the far side of the ground. Little low sunshine. You can see the shadow of the Frank Arrock stand just stretching across the pitch as we head into this game's final quarter. Bandiera reinstated in defence today in the absence of Grant Lynch, away on futsal ruse duty. Clever touch from Gianni Di Pizio. This is very much why Michelli was so keen to sign him from Sydney Olympic, where he was struggling for playing time. Initial bit of interplay was nice, but the crossfield ball just a little off target for Chan Yol Chan. And Berry with a rather agricultural bit of play, just thumping the ball up the other end and out of play himself. Major got the scoring started today. Heavy challenge from Hayward on Danascus. Spills free, back to Rocco Smith. Bandiera with that ball just swirling in the wind. Eventually reached his foot, and Ben Berry's happy to turn home and play it to his goalkeeper. He's barely seen the ball down his end in the second half, Caden Henderson. O'Brien, this is where he does do his best work. You see the effect the wind had on that ball, just held it up. Souris. 1-2 with Wright. One for Di Pizio. Cito. Wright again, tidy as usual. Campbell, as Yel Chan just hesitated on how he was going to beat him. Now has a striding defensive run. Managed to time the challenge well on Malia. Good recovery from the Saints' big centre forward. Jaden Casella is flagged for coming back from an offside position into his own half. Not something you see too often. Putting enough pressure on Nick O'Brien that the foul was given. Just over 20 minutes to find a winner here for Blacktown City. We'll just give them an extra level of security. Keep them at least 7 points clear. Teams like Wollongong and Sydney United. Calogero is growing in influence in this second half down the right. To Caden Wright. George looked good when they've been able to play like this through midfield. Danascus looking the direct route for Casella. Came straight back to him. Yel Chan. This time Casella has held his run. He's in a foot race with Bandiera. Got a crossing cover and did enough. The ball wasn't able to get cleanly across the face of Henderson's goal, and Kresnar sticks it behind. So St George with the first corner of the second half now. Blacktown at this point in the afternoon preferring the ball on that side. Sun is quite low on the western side of the pitch, hanging into the players' eyes. Not so on this side. Pizio spins it up in the air, diving header away from Campbell. Danascus taking his time, finding Antonio. He appeals for a handball, and then the challenge from Ben Berry. Here's ping for a St George FC free kick. Blacktown getting the second of the appeals against them blown up, and it's another yellow card. Third of the afternoon, this one in the direction of Ben Berry. And this in a very dangerous position. No more than 2 or 3 yards outside the penalty area. And a very proficient duo over the football in Casella and DiPizio. You would have to think it will be the right-footed option of the substitute that they'll take here. 2 in the wall for Caden Henderson. 5 red shirts to aim for. Casella steps away. DiPizio tries to measure. It's into a very dangerous area, and it's scrapped home. Chan Yel-Chan claims the final touch. And the acrobatics, perhaps a bigger highlight than the finish itself. St George in pole position for 3 points. The running power that won the free kick, and then the sheer desire to force the ball home at the near post. They've had to go and win it again, St George. They might well have done if they're disciplined enough for the final 18 minutes or so here. Didn't he wheel away Chan Yel-Chan? Such joy for him, a man who's had to battle his injury concerns over the course of this season. It's just his second league goal all year. That might prove to be the difference on this sunny Sunday in St George. A mood matching the weather has just descended across Barton Park. Had to wait a moment for the high point this afternoon. Didn't feel like the scoring was done. Chan Yel-Chan, who's had such a battle of a year. He's battled all afternoon. And he scrapped his way to his reward. Ball fired into the near post. Blacktown not able to swing a boot cleanly enough at it. It's a proper striker's finish. The ball was there to be knocked home. That's exactly what Yel-Chan did. See the energy it's given him. And his side. Campbell there, playing a lone hand in the box defensively. O'Brien gets it forward. Hayward trying to run his way past Rocco Smith. He's been the pick of St George's defenders this afternoon. And just there to hold up the Blacktown City substitute. St George in the box seat for a first win against Blacktown City in league football for 20 years. Only had the 5 opportunities at it, but it's been a little bit of history in this club's storied book. Blacktown City have got that of their own, and they've got plenty of pride on the line this afternoon. And their position on the table isn't yet really at threat. Would like to get something out of this afternoon's work. That's a dangerous ball across from Major. Calagero's scrapping it clear. Headed further away by Danascus, and now Casella's got the ball where he wants it, running at opposition defenders. Major bundling him over, and everybody stopped expecting the whistle to be blown. It never came. Not enough contact from Major on Casella to draw Kelly Jones's whistle. Fernandez. He's one who can produce a moment of magic. He might look to go about producing something here. Haywood, Major, just pauses and assesses his options. Haywood was really the only one available to him. Haywood again, 20-year-old, just being held back by Danaskos. Eventually found its way wide to Nick O'Brien, who I think will be happy to let it run because he was in an offside position. Haywood scrapping to keep the ball in play. Just see players stopping, waiting for whistles at the moment. Almost asking for a break just to give them a breath. St George would certainly be happy for the game to be stopped. It's not the case for Blacktown City. And Kelly Jones, for the second time this afternoon, is booked a player for dissent. This time it's Jaden Casella. First St George FC name taken of the afternoon. The first couple of substitutes. Or I should say the second lot of substitutes coming from Fabian Michelli by Antonio. Taken off, not on the score sheet today. Equal top scorer this season. It's replaced by the former Blacktown City man, Jesper Weber. And Yel Chan has played his final hand. His goal separates the two teams at 3-2. Justin Poon takes his place. So Casella will go into the outright striking role. Can just give a bit of a question or two to Blacktown City's defence in the closing stages. Ishmaeli are bringing down Nick Calageru. It's going to be one last roll of the dice for Blacktown City here in the final quarter of an hour. Ruben Oro-Tife going to be the man brought on. Travis Major's afternoon was over. Is over, I should say. His goal got the scoring started, but Blacktown City still a goal short at the minute. The legs of their former junior has gone away, come back in the last 12 months. He's got one or two late goals in his first grade career. Ruben Oro-Tife. Been quite a stretch without one. Senior level though. Smith reading that one best of anyone. Right. Dangerous from DePizio. Kresnar read it well. Ball finally whistled as out of play. Blacktown City's favour. Poon around the corner. And Casella can make something of it. He just looked a little more certain of it than Bandiera. Now he's got him on the back foot. Weber joining in. Could they kill it off, St George? Poon is there. Oh, and it just didn't have enough on the ball back across the face to find DePizio. Poon staying on side and staying present in the attack. Campbell scrapping for him with it. With him for it, I should say. St George looking comfortable in their lead for the moment. Momentum has changed so quickly over the course of the afternoon, and a ball like that can be the difference. Cito recovering his initial error as Fernandez looked to burst clear. Nice touch from Caden Wright. He's got grass in front of him. Weber, the fresh legs of St George really putting Blacktown on the back foot now. Michelli looks to have timed his changes to perfection. Star Story's team have wrestled back the impetus. Still throwing numbers forward here, not quite. It's plentiful, but still Rocco Smith heads forward. Troy Danaskos. It's Casella's ball in the first half that led to St George's first goal, and it's into a similar area. This time Campbell finds a header away from goal. Just popping it up in the air for its Almost landed back at his feet. Sito without too much pressure. The best ball in field from Suris, who joined the group of St. George players who gathered around Marty Fernandez to dispossess him. Weather's going to be asked to run. He's got the pace to get around both the assistant and Jacob Kresnar. Create a bit of play. Kresnar hits the turf and still Webber's away. Just missing the final product after what was such an enterprising run. Got a few of the fans up off their seats. Matt Harris in the middle of it all. Not sure that he wanted to be. Did well to stay out of the way. Something we were so used to seeing from Jesper Weber in his time at the Bulls Academy. He was a player who was just happy to put himself in foot races with defenders. Say, come and catch me. Jacob Kresnar is one of the quicker in the comp, and still he couldn't. Just a 50-metre sprint down the near side of Barton Park. 10 minutes to play. St. George in front, courtesy of 2 goals from set pieces and a penalty. Latest scored by Shanyel Chan. For a penalty from Damascus and an own goal from Lachlan Campbell in the first half. Campbell got the first of Blacktown's equalisers this afternoon to make it 2-2. It's all after Travis Major had opened the scoring for the game just before the half-hour mark. That seems a long time ago, given what has transpired since then. Still, Blacktown could find something late. Malia still dancing and hanging it up for Adam Berry. Still, it's not clear and knocked over the top. Ungainly work from Jaden Sito, but effective enough. Had Siron's heart in his mouth for just a moment. The ball whistled over his crossbar off the boot of his centre-back. St. George know they're not home or hosed yet. I've considered too many of these late goals this season. Blacktown trying to add to the misery. Adam Berry with too much on the cross, which goes over the heads of everybody in the penalty box and trickles harmlessly behind. Not going to get too many more of those now, Blacktown City. They've got to make the most of every opportunity. The game in the state it is. Time for playing out from the back for St. George City is over. Kenzie Siron, the goalkeeper, waving everybody forwards. Suris. Sella did enough to win the throw right in front of the Blacktown City bench. Just looking a little weathered. See Travis Major in the background there, sitting on the pose of the thinker. Famous old statue. Like to be pondering on a third Blacktown City goal and a point. And the error doing enough to disrupt the attack, but throw-in will go St. George FC's way. Nice touch from Casella. Gave DePizio something to contest, which he did well. He's tried to play Casella back in. And Henderson manning his near post. Couldn't rise a second too soon, or the ball would have slipped under him. It's a good piece of goalkeeping. Difficult for Casella on that tight angle. Still forces a save out of the Blacktown City goalkeeper. Too much aimless play like that from Blacktown City in this second half. Henderson races to keep that one from going behind. This team settles, looking for the option forward. It's a long one towards Oro Atife. Didn't quite steer it in the direction he wanted. Nick O'Brien lent a helping hand, and then Sito almost rugby tackling Keanu Moore to the turf. He's just joined us. is almost the exact spot from which Lachlan Campbell's equaliser came from. Casella makes the point that the foul happened a couple of yards further back, but this is almost exactly the same ball that Adam Berry's going to have to play. Campbell's there at the back post again. Eventually the ball reaches him. Nice bit of skill to take it away from Webber, and Ben Berry might have stuck it home. Was that the moment for Blacktown? Campbell, endlessly creative for a defensive player. Just a handful for defences when he puts himself in the opposition penalty box. So nearly getting the assist for another equaliser. Not to be. It's the creative influence of Nicolas Gutaric that Fabio Michelli has turned to. So Casella deployed in about his fourth different role today. Slots into the centre of midfield. Although not by design, the ball reached him. Berry over the top. Malia. Damascus got the better of him that time. Haywood away in cover. Breaks for another Blacktown City throw. They still might find an equaliser. Well, fancy their chances of finding a winner as well with 5 minutes to play. Found all the attacking impetus in the last 10 minutes. DePizio and Haywood going for it. Nick O'Brien tried to measure his shot rather than putting his laces through it. He might regret that option. Ben Berry and then Nick O'Brien, two of the starting centre halves today. Had the two best chances for Blacktown in the last 2.5 minutes. No equaliser forthcoming yet. Phil St George are going to have to see out one or two more attacking shoves from their visitors before they're awarded the 3 points. Haven't won in their last 6, haven't beaten Blacktown in league football for 2 decades. They're 3 minutes away. Taking their time over this late set piece. Probably a bit kind to describe it as that, because I think it'll just be a thump forward from Troy Damascus now. It's measured towards Skutaric. Bandiera got above him. He was the favourite in that little contest. Yes, but whether just marshalling Nick O'Brien out to play. Skutaric going to have to cop a fair few bumps and bruises in these late stages. He might get a goal. Poon left the ball behind, and then Campbell took it off his toe. Heroic stuff from the right back. Less so from Adam Berry, and Casella trying the near post, shaves the side netting. That would have put the game to bed. Not quite to be. A grandstand finish here at Barton Park. Watching on from the Frank Arrock stand by the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Glad to have your company on this Sunday afternoon. What has turned into riveting fare. After a slow burn of a first half. Adam Berry. Brian for Campbell and Haywood. Not the required direction on that. Casella's still full of running. Bandiera heading to safety. Ben Berry further upfield. Lovely first touch from Mitch Malia. Falls under the challenge from Caden Wright. No free kick forthcoming. The ball's returned straight back to him by Caligero's clearance. Haywood for Nick O'Brien. Runners in the box. Can he pick one out? Not the best of clearances. And Keanu Moore almost able to turn. Oh, Warren Sife needed anything on that. Would have at least forced a save from Suron. Not to be. Fabian Michelli barking instructions as at his defence, looking to hold out for a first point in 4, a first win in 6. Played by Caden Wright. You feel the point is at least safe now. 4 minutes of added time at the end of this game. St George trying to work it down the safer end. Casella not able to. Adam Berry. This game has been so regular over Blacktown's season. 2 goals found again, but it doesn't look as though it's going to be enough. Just as was the case against Manly United 2 weeks ago. That ball really holding up in the wind from Ben Berry. Smith almost misjudging it because of the wind. Kresnar's touch was good. How's the delivery? Had Siron scurrying towards his back post, but never really looked like staying in play. So a chance for the Saints to eat a few more seconds off the clock. Shadow stretch. Calogero now the one barking orders at those in front of him, marshalling his troops. Damascus adds a voice. And Siron gets ready to launch it downfield, curling away from anybody in red. Or black either, for that matter. And Nick O'Brien unpick St George's defence with a ball forward. It's not a bad one for Kresnar. He's got more room in which to deliver. There's no Blacktown City player to hit. Again, the wind holds up the ball. Gives Kresnar a second bite. This time he's got Weber right with him all the way. His former teammate scrapping for it, concedes the corner, and then falls right onto Blacktown City's left wing back. That was a sore one. They caught that right on the tailbone, Jesper Weber. One more chance for Adam Berry. Already has 1 assist this afternoon. Calogero with a commanding win. Skataric is after the ball again. And the arrow is holding him. Free kick's gone Blacktown's way. Amongst all of that, there cannot be long left. Nick O'Brien waiting for his players to get forward. He goes the short option. Good thinking from Mitch Marlier. To give himself a bit of angle. Damascus up, not out. Berry crushing the pack, and then Kresnar could only swing his right foot at it. Siron dives upon it gratefully. Another raid seen out. A couple of calls for the full-time whistle. Been short to big results recently, St George FC. This could just restore a little bit of hope for finals football. It's going to be a long march up the table if they're to get there over the final month or so. I needed this result. Bandiera falling at the vital moment. Well scrapped forward by Ken Wright. And Justin Poon is in behind. He slid for it, kept it alive. Casella. Across was Adam Berry rather. But a corner for Blacktown is not enough at this stage. Poon's desperation not allowing Blacktown City to clear. Terrific desire shown from the 19-year-old. St George will not throw too many forward for this. How much time is left? How much time can they eat off the clock? Not much. It doesn't matter. The late goal enough. The 2-1 leads disappeared just after half-time through Lachlan Campbell's header. But Chan Yel Chan sticking the ball home from close range, just his second goal of the season. A precious one for he and for Fabian Michelli. St George have their first win in 6 games, and it just gives them a hope of finals football. A loss that won't too downturn Blacktown City's fortunes this season, but an afternoon of frustration more than anything else. Been a pleasure to bring you this one from Barton Park. St George get their first win over Blacktown in 20 years. A little piece of history for this famous old football club. Signing off from Bestwich Street. Let's finish St George FC 3, Blacktown City 2.